And here we go. Welcome everybody to The Big Idea. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Hanna. I've got a really nifty article that I found today. People are asking all the time, what can I do to help make my neck stronger so that my alignment's going to be more stable, so that I'm having less pain, so that I'm not going out of alignment near as much? What can I do? And what do you need to do is you need to use your tongue the right way. If you go back and watch some videos I did, really it was probably about a month or so ago, I'd made a side comment that I have an interesting thought that using certain activities to wake up your tongue can actually help with neck stability. Turns out somebody just did the research on that, so I'm geeking out about this a little bit, but I want to show you what the researchers found and what you can be doing to help strengthen your neck muscles on your own. Okay, the effect of tongue to palate on deep neck flexor activity. And when they're saying tongue to palate, they're saying that the upper part of the tongue is sitting against the top of your mouth. I'll get toward the very end of this video about where that can be challenging for some people and where you may need the help of what's known as a myofunctional therapist. This is a relatively new profession, but they're working on exercising the tongue so that it functions properly. But anyway, let's get into this. And this one here, I may actually read a larger chunk than I usually do. So deep neck flexor muscles contribute to cervical stability and proprioception. This is your brain's sense of balance, muscle tone, things like that. But reduced strength and endurance leads to faulty movement, balance imbalances, and dysfunction. So they have the question here that do the muscles of the tongue have any impact? What they did was they had a look at 23, so a relatively small sample, but nevertheless really good place to start. And they had them lie down on their back and assume 3 different positions. So in one position, they were just simply lying flat on their back, kind of like this. Second position, what they were doing was they were deliberately squeezing their chin back like this. So that's going to be the chin tuck position. And then the last one is going to be a head lift. So it's not sticking the chin forward like this, but lying on the back and then just sort of protruding the chin and the nose straight forward like this. Both of those are exercises that I have prescribed to people at various times over the years, whether the tin chucks or whether the easy hard exercises. That's what I've always called them. So we know that those can help build the strength of the neck and the front right through here, because in a lot of people, when we're on computers or we have injuries, the problem is that we have weakness of these front muscles and then too much strength of the back muscles, and the head starts to come forward like this. So we need to be able to keep the ear over the tip of the shoulder like this. Now, what they wanted to see was if by putting your tongue on the upper part of your palate, did that make any difference? So first up, what they did was a simple assessment just to get a control. So they were measuring the deep muscle activity here, and they found that sure enough, when you do the tin chuck, or whether you do the easy hard kind of movement like that, again, you're not doing this one upright, but you're lying on your back and you're propelling your head forward against gravity, that did significantly increase the activation of those muscles. But then what they did is they said they wanted to see how that was going to compare with the putting the tongue on the roof of the palate. And here's what they found. They found that the stiffness levels, there was no significant improvement. Oh, excuse me. Let me rewind that a little bit. Okay, so simply by tongue to palate, increased stiffness at rest. So just by simply lying down on the back, that by putting the tongue on the roof of the palate, that actually activated the muscles, the equivalent of sticking the head forward like this. But what they found in particular is that tongue to palate, where was it? There it is. But chin tuck stiffness was significantly greater with tongue to palate. In other words, that activation of those deep muscles was even stronger when you tuck the chin back like this and emphasize putting your tongue on the upper part of your palate. The way that you can do this is by imagining that you've got like a straw, or you're sucking on a bottle, something like that, where simply put, you're having to activate these kinds of throat muscles by making sure you're keeping your tongue on the roof of your palate. It's the same kind of thing that would be necessary to, like that. It's an exercise where you're trying to open your jaw, but you're trying to keep your tongue on the upper part of your palate as long as you can. I'll zoom in a little bit. It's a little weird. Like that, where it's making that little click sound. So, quick little recap. Simply put, by making sure that you have your tongue on the upper part of your palate, that helps activate these muscles more effectively. That again means that your core is activating stronger, that helps to maintain the strength and the control of how your neck is supposed to work. And in fact, this is an exercise that I've told to women when they are expecting and when it's time to deliver. You see on the movies and TVs, unfortunately this still happens, women bearing down, trying to push the baby out like this. Well, when you're sticking the head forward like this in an upright position, you're actually disengaging your core muscles. Instead, what I've said for a number of years is you want to make sure that you're pulling your chin in and to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, because that activates not just the core muscles here, but the core muscles through the entire spine, which is going to include the pelvic floor. So, quick takeaway for women, if you are expecting and delivery is coming, that when it's time to deliver, chin goes back, put your tongue on the upper part of your palate, and when you bear down for delivery, you want to make it more productive doing it like that. Now, where does this come into play? And as I had mentioned earlier in the video about myofunctional therapy and why this is such an important and under-recognized problem. It's because many people, and I'm actually blown away at how many people this really is, are born with a tongue tie. And what's going to happen, simply put, it's the extra little bit of connective tissue under the tongue that prohibits the tongue from actually being able to tap on that upper palate. What we know is that that contributes toward abnormal development of the jaw, abnormal issues in the neck, and also abnormal function of the brain. In other words, the tongue needs to be mobile and needs to be able to sit in the mouth properly so that the skull and so that the brain can develop properly. Unfortunately, where an infant may have troubles latching, trouble suckling, anything like that, it's not just a matter of them having difficulties feeding. No, this is going to potentially lead to brain and also spinal issues later in their life. And then as much as you could say, oh yeah, they just need, again, a little adjustment for the spine. They just need to do a bit of exercises. It goes a little bit more than that. Very common where what these little guys are going to need is a tongue tie release. This can sometimes be done just simply put manually. Other times it can be done, at least old-fashioned, with scissors. These days it's typically done with a laser, where the little one's not having a very good time for, a day or so, but then things heal up and then they do remarkably better. But this is not isolated just to kids. Even adults, if we have grown up, something's wrong with the jaw, something's wrong with the tongue, and we're not using it the right way, this actually sets us up for having neck issues later on in life. This then is what the profession of myofunctional therapy does. It is working on exercises that help you to use your tongue, to use your jaw correctly, and when appropriate, referring to a dentist or somebody else who may need to do a tongue tie release, not just for the sake of tongue or for speech, but for brain function, for spine function, so that your brain and your body are able to work the way that they are supposed to. I was only introduced to the profession of myofunctional therapist probably about 5 years ago. I'd never heard about it. But because there are so many neurological overlaps between the jaw, between the neck, I was fascinated by this. and again have referred a number of people where I can see that this is what part of the issue is that's holding them back from getting the results clinically that I would be expecting to see. And then they start doing these exercises or they have whatever procedures done and people start doing remarkably better. So wanted to share this little bit of research, but also so that you can know a little bit more, what do you need to do if you actually want to have a stronger neck, if you want your adjustments to stabilize better, and if you want things to work in your body the way that they're supposed to. Tongue goes on the roof of the mouth. And again, simplest version of this is you pull your chin back like this and you imagine that you are sucking through a straw. That's it. Or if you want to up the ante, if you've got a water bottle that you're at work, don't just drink it back like this, but put a straw on it. It's going to have a certain amount of pressure, so it's going to force you to actually engage your tongue in that particular way. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have somebody that you think would benefit, please do share this with them. And if you haven't already done so, like and subscribe to this video. It always helps so that other people can find this information when they need it. Thanks for watching. This is Dr. Jeffrey Hanna, Clear Chiropractic. Get well, live well, stay well.